You guys ready?
What's the plan, Bobby?
We're winging it, Jerry.
You always winged it.
We're gonna get killed. What you mean, we, white boy?
You ready?
Here we go.
What's good, everybody? Welcome into the OG NBA betting show. Myself and Babano for right now. I know Dutchy's gonna tap in a little bit, and we might get a WAM sighting. We just might. I missed the show yesterday. It was my fault that we didn't have a show. I was traveling back home, doing all that stuff. So you guys can see it in my background. I made it back, and now the OG show is back rolling. So Babano, good to see you. How's everything going for you?
Yeah, we're still here. I mean, I always have someone asking me, "What are you guys not doing the show anymore?" Or just because we missed one day. I'm like, "Come on, it's coming off Thanksgiving. Skee's got to travel back home. Give us a break here. We're back today. Everything's good." It was a solid day yesterday betting wise. You know, we had two of those big dogs that won outright. We took Dallas plus the points. They win outright against Denver. We had Utah plus the points. They win outright against Houston. So a couple of, and then not to mention, I wasn't on Washington, but another team that was a big double-digit dog that won outright. 3 double-digit dogs: Washington, Dallas, Utah last night, all winning in outright fashion. So crazy chaos last night in NBA action. We got a nice little 6-pack. I'm not talking beer. I'm talking about 6 games on the NBA slate for tonight. So a couple good bets. So we'll see what we can find out there.
All right, let's talk about them. I'm going to the first game on the board. That is Washington and Philadelphia, sitting right where it opened at 13.5. Total came down from 236.5 as low as 234.5. I guess I should refresh this. I mean, there's a lot of injuries for Washington. Sarr, Middleton, Kispert, Johnson, Cooper all out. Keyshawn George questionable. For Philly, Watford, Oubre, Embiid all out. Grimes, PG, and Drummond all questionable. This is a back-to-back here, Babano, for the Wizards. So, I mean, it makes sense to see some people out. For the Sixers, they're coming off that double overtime game.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Not the greatest spot for them either. I'm going to tell you what happened to me in this game, Albano. Last night, I bet Wizards plus 13.5. My thought was, it is a back-to-back. Maybe somebody sits, but, probably get most of the team still playing. And then I wake up and I see, even Keyshawn George questionable, and I don't like that. We can miss a Middleton, but we can't have everybody out. That's how I felt. So I bought out of the Wizards plus 13.5, the Sixers plus 13.5. Just gonna drink the juice. What do you feel about this game?
Yeah, it looks like Maxey and Edgecombe, the rookie, are going to play here for the Sixers. So at least they got a couple guys in. George is questionable. Of course, there's still no Embiid, no Oubre. They're still out. But you mentioned it for Washington. Even Keyshawn George questionable. Obviously, Trey Johnson, Kispert, Middleton, Sarr are already out. There's a team on a back-to-back after a stunning but impressive win last night against Milwaukee. I'll be honest, this is probably a system play for me. I don't love it at this number, but I have a small Philly bet here, minus 13.5. But system play, the system play I mentioned on Friday, the last time we had a show. Washington off a win. Stay far away from the Washington Wizards off a win. Last night, that was only their 3rd win of the season, 3-16. Again, I'll reiterate what I said on Friday. Washington, in their 2 previous games off a win, their first win of the year, back in October, they beat Dallas as a 9.5-point dog. They won by 10. You know what happened the next game? At home against Charlotte, they lost by 26. Got completely and utterly blown out. We saw them win their second game last week against Atlanta, 132-113. You know what happened in their next game at Indiana? And I used Indiana as my best bet Friday. Indiana blew them out, 119-86. Not even competitive. So bad teams off a win, forget about it. Not interested. So Philly for me, small bet though, because it's a lot of points.
Yeah, big number, but I had to get out of that Wizards bet. Like, it felt so disgusting just looking at it in my pending.
Washington treats every damn win like they won the Larry O.B. this year. Let's be honest. That's why they're going to be so bad after a win, probably. They're going to treat every little win they get like, oh, we just won a championship. Because they're not going to win too many games.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm out of there, Babano. Shout out to what is that? Sorry, I can't see it. I need to pull it up. Mark, appreciate you, Mark. The $20 dono says thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. We're doing our best to try to bring you some winners here today. So appreciate the $20 dono. 1000%. Next game up, Babano. We are gonna go Blazers, Raptors. 5-point spread was the opener, still around there, 5 or 5.5. Total though came down from 234 as low as 230. And when I look at who's available, I mean RJ Barrett out for this Raptors team. Klingon questionable for the Blazers, still without Drew as well. It's the first of a back-to-back for the Blazers. I believe they play the Cavs tomorrow. It is the third game in 4 nights for this Raptors team. But Bano, this is another game that I did play. I got 232.5, and I bet under. And I mean, if you follow this Raptors team, you know that their offense has fallen off a cliff since RJ's got hurt. And he's not the best defender either. I mean, the defense gets a little better at the same time. So I have a Raptors team with that situation playing at a fourth slowest pace. I like under. I bet under. What do you like here?
I don't argue with that. I don't argue with that because they miss R.J. Barrett. We've seen this team offensively, the last 3 games, really. We go back to the Indiana win where they just escaped with a 2-point win. By the way, the Raptors are just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games, but a lot of it is they haven't been as efficient at the offensive end. 97, 111, 94 in their last 3 games, 5 straight unders during this span for the Toronto Raptors as well. So I don't argue with the underlook. Pacers have kind of been trending that way. They're also off the game where they, gave up 123 to the Thunder and 49% shooting. So Blazers are probably going to want to clean things up a little bit defensively. I think it's a Raptor spot, but I'm not totally comfortable laying 5 with them right here. I like the theory of backing them off 2 straight losses against Charlotte and New York. Charlotte was a game where they had the big lead and they just uncharacteristically coughed it up in the second half, and then they lost in overtime. And then New York was just a bad spot. Back-to-back after an exhausting game against Charlotte. New York's been killing teams at Madison Square Garden. It was just a really tough spot for the Raptors there on a back-to-back. I'm not surprised they got blown out by the Knicks in the back-to-back on Sunday. But now it's a nice little bounce-back spot for them. They've had a couple of days off. But I don't love the -5 because the Blazers have played the Raptors very tough. They've covered 3 of the last 4, and they've beaten the Raptors 4 straight times. They won every game over Toronto last year. Now it's a different Toronto team. It's a much better Toronto team. So what I decided to do here, because I don't love the -5, the double result, which is Toronto leads at the half and wins the game, -110 is the price on that. I don't mind that. That's a small bet for me here. Raptors double result. So Raptors lead at the half and win the game, -110.
Appreciate you, Chill Will says, I'm following suit. It's the right thing to do for some real OGs. Thanks, gents. Now, let me get on the like button. It definitely helping out the show with the like button, and we appreciate the dono, Chill Will, 100%. Urbano, I would ask you, I heard you say the Raptors double result. I would ask you, I mean, the hesitation in doing the spread is because they're not scoring enough, right?
Right.
So if you like the Raptors, you like them because of their defense. Why not bet the Blazers team total under?
That's an option too. Yeah, I don't mind that one whatsoever. I think they will play pretty good defense here tonight. Remember, this Blazers team still can have issues at times putting the ball in the basket. And I would expect the Raptors to be able to do a decent job limiting them. It's another good option. Yep, I don't argue with that. Like I said, the double result's been something I've been really starting to bet in a lot of different sports, football too. We've had a lot of those double result bets. It's just a way that in case they win by 3 or 4, you're not, pissed off because you didn't cash your -5. Because I could see that where Raptors probably have a good start. I prefer Raptors first half or Raptors double result more than Raptors -5. I can tell you that.
All right, we'll move it on over. That's good stuff on that game for sure. I'm on the under in that game. Knicks and Celtics. We're gonna go. It says opener. Knicks -1, and it's different. Every book I look at, one book has Boston -1, next book has Knicks -1. Total, though, did go up from 228 as high as 231.5. When I look at the injury report, nobody really on there for Boston. Knicks still without OG and Shamit. But man, this Boston team, like, they play pretty good at home, at least offensively. I would trust them to score. This is already a Knicks team that I don't know. I feel like they're just not the best defending the perimeter, and Celtics they're the best offensive rated team at home. So Celtics team total or Celtics, that would be my first looks in this one. How do you feel about it?
I mean, it's just very difficult for me with New York on the road. I mean, they're 3-5 on the road. They haven't been the same as they've been at Madison Square Garden, where they've been awesome at home. But their road, what's their best road with? Charlotte, Brooklyn, Dallas. Those have been the teams they've been beating lately on the road. So they just have not shown enough, consistency. They haven't shown enough ability, both ends of the floor on the road this year. And I'm going back and I'm looking. They really have not had a great road win. Like, what on earth is their best road win this season? They lost their first 3 road games to Miami, Milwaukee, and Chicago at the beginning of the season. And then they lost to Miami again on the road. Then they beat Dallas, but they were 8.5-point favorites. They only won that game by 2. They lose by double digits at Orlando. And then they beat Charlotte and Brooklyn, the last 2 road games. Big deal. The Knicks have just not been good enough on the road for me to count on them, away from MSG. Right now, it's that simple. I'm on Boston money line here. I like the way they're playing. I cashed a couple dog tickets with Boston over the weekend. I took them in both games over the weekend, catching big points, because I just thought, Boston's missing Tatum, but they're playing all right, and they've been competitive in a lot of these games lately. And now they've covered 4 straight. I took them against Minnesota, 6-point dog over the weekend. They lost by 4, covered the number. And then at Cleveland, the very next, even on a back-to-back, knowing Cleveland's kind of been struggling lately. I said, that's too many points. I think even on a back-to-back, Boston can hang in there. Well, they did one better than that. They beat Cleveland outright, 117-115 in that game. So I like Boston here. I got to see more from New York on the road quality before I'm ready to trust them. So Celtics money line for me.
I can definitely understand that. I'm just thinking, I see some people in the chat saying the team total. What is the team total even in this one for them? Team total is 115.5.
Yep, 115.5. Pretty much
115.5
for both teams. Yeah,
that does seem pretty doable for the Celtics.
Yep.
So
yep.
I'll probably be on one, or maybe I'll do the good old Babano and split them up in half. All right, next game up. T-Wolves and Pelicans. It did open 9.5. It's up as high as 13 for the Wolves on the road. Total went from 232.5 as low as 231, and it's lighting up right now. I mean, let's see. Let's refresh if we have some injury stuff. I don't see anybody on the injury report for the Wolves. For the Pelicans, though, Messi questionable, Herb Jones, and the rest of the usual suspects. Zion, he was questionable earlier. He's been rolled out. No pull. I mean, Babano, seems like the Wolves just beat up on the less thans and struggle with the better teams. So it seems like it's going to be a lot of less thans out there tonight. I would think that means we bet the Wolves, but I don't have a ticket in my pocket right now. How you feel about this one?
No, I'm going the other way on this. I like New Orleans a little bit here, plus 12. I'm not laying this number with Minnesota. Hell with that. They're only 5-5 on the road, 12-8. When they're laying numbers like this, I'm either betting against them or I'm passing. I have no confidence, none, zero, laying big numbers like this. 7.5-point favorites at Utah. They didn't cover there. 4.5-point road favorites at Phoenix. They lost outright. 10-point road favorites at Sacramento. They lost outright. And that's really where they've been bad. They've covered a couple of numbers as home favorites like Dallas. They were 14-point home favorites. They won by 24. 4.5-point home favorites against San Antonio last game. They won 125-112, even though they were down for a good chunk of that game. But in this road favorite role, they've been brutal, terrible, laying big numbers on the road. Sacramento, they lost outright, 10-point road chalk. Phoenix, they lost outright, 4.5-point road chalk. Didn't cover a 7.5-point road chalk at Utah before that. Let me go back even further here. It's been rough, of late, for this team. But lately, especially, this road favorite role hasn't been great. New Orleans is banged up. I know what I'm getting into, and if they play poorly and, the guys that are getting the extra minutes don't play well, they could get blown out here. But it's a Pelicans team that's been flying under the radar. Nobody paying attention because they're only 3-18. but they're suddenly a winning point spread team. They're suddenly 6-2 against the spread their last 8 games. They've been covering numbers, flying way under the radar, and I just don't trust Minnesota in this kind of a price range away from home. They've shown it to me too many times against middling competition. They just do enough to win and get by in these spots. And so Pelicans for me, plus the big spot, 12.5.
All right, but Bano going with that big home dog in this one. I think I'll just I'll stay off that game. That's good enough for
they're
me.
banged up. There's no doubt. New Orleans is up against it here, but Minnesota's just not been the team that's been blowout worthy on the road, especially lately.
Fair enough. Grizzlies and Spurs hasn't really moved from the opener. Total, same thing. For the Grizzlies, Landale still questionable. The rest of the guys who are always out are out. Still no Wemby, no Castle, McLaughlin. And then you have Ingram questionable. So really it just boils down to I don't like the idea of laying with the Spurs like multiple possessions. I just don't view them as a team I'm making money with a lot of times doing that. It's just my opinion. I haven't looked at the numbers. It's just my thoughts. The Grizzlies, I feel like, have been playing a little bit better since Edie's come back, regardless of Ja being out of the lineup. And catching these points here with the better defensive team, at least lately, seems appealing. What do you think about Grizzlies and Spurs?
I agree with this. I look at San Antonio, and San Antonio is a team we've cashed with them a couple of times. I took them against Portland. It was a good spot, near Pick'em. They won on the road. I took them against Denver, in the Cup game on Friday night. They won that game outright against the Nuggets, who are suddenly losing a ton of games recently at home. And last game, I went back to them again, San Antonio against Minnesota, but Minnesota had a big fourth quarter and turned a close game into a double-digit win. And they've been starting to figure things out, San Antonio, adjusting to no Stephon Castle. And Wemby obviously has been out for all this time. And you can tell they're getting more comfortable playing without those two guys. And they've, 5-2 straight up, 5-2 against the spread their last 7 games. But this is now laying 5.5. You're coming off a 4-game road trip, which is not usually a bet on spot, especially laying points. It's not usually, for me, a bet on spot, taking a team off of multiple game road trip at home, laying points, especially when you flip it around to Memphis, who are suddenly 5-1 straight up in ATS their last 6 games. They've won 3 straight, covered 3 straight on this current road trip. Now, the competition's been bad. I will say that. New Orleans, Clippers, and Sacramento. No question about that. They beat Dallas and Sacramento before that. So there's that little element of, they're playing better, but it's been a pretty weak slate. A lot of sisters of the poor on this recent resume here for the Memphis Grizzlies. But it's a tough spot for San Antonio off the road trip. Memphis is playing to avenge a loss earlier this year, to this Spurs team. It was just recently, I believe, 111-101. They played back in November against San Antonio. But I think Memphis in this spot, getting the points, I think it's worth it. So, Memphis for me, plus 5.5.
All right, we're in agreement on that one. I mean, that's the only way I see to play this game. Last one up on the slate for today looks like Thunder and Warriors. Opened up 8.5. Looks like 11.5. And totals come down from 226.5 as low as 223.5. For OKC, no Hardenstein, no Dort, no Caruso. For the Warriors, you have Draymond probable, Jimmy Butler questionable, TJD questionable, no Curry, Horford, Milton, or Tuhey. First thing that comes to my mind here, Babano, is that is a lot of defense missing for OKC. Caruso, Dort, and Hardenstein. If they were playing anybody else other than the Warriors without Steph Curry, I'd probably run to the window and bet over. So I'm unsure. They have had a couple of days off, this Warriors team, to maybe work on that offense. But the only thing I got to the window with here was good old Draymond under 14.5 points plus assists. And just a simple fact that he doesn't like to play when Steph Curry's not out there. And more than him.
How does Chet Holmgren not eat tonight? How do you not like Chet Holmgren props? You got to like that tonight.
Yeah, I'll go for that too. But I just took Draymond unders. So you going with Chet?
Yeah, I don't love a side or total. I want to give the viewers and listeners something on this game because I'm probably going to bet this. Yeah, points and rebounds for Chet Holmgren tonight makes sense. We don't love the Warrior front court anyway, for the most part. So, like I said, I definitely think it's a spot for him to fill up the stat sheet tonight in the low post for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, it's unbelievable what they're doing. This is a great quote too. I read from the Thunder. People are saying, "Where's this championship hangover? Why are you guys 20-1, pedal to the metal?" Because Jalen Williams said, "We don't feel like we're the hunted. We're the hunters at all times." He says, "We're the hunters, even though we've got the championship." So that's winning mentality. That's winning attitude. So if you wonder why, the Oklahoma City Thunder have had no letdown, it's because they're not satisfied, apparently. And I think they've heard some people, out there saying, "Well, it's a bit of a." Not the best all-time champion, far from it, as far as them winning it all last year. And I think they're almost like, hey, you guys think we're a paper tiger NBA champion? We're a weaker than normal champion. We'll try to show you. And they're kind of taking that attitude right now. So it's a lot of points on the road, but Golden State, with no Curry here tonight, how are they going to score? Down with Horford out too, Butler banged up and questionable. Don't know if he's going to play. And this Golden State home court, which is still pretty good, 7-2. But the only teams they've beaten recently at home, they lost to Utah, they lost to Houston at home and Portland at home, Utah and New Orleans. That's not saying a whole lot. Teams that nowhere near Oklahoma City's caliber. So, like I said, it's Thunder or pass for me, but, big number on the road. And the Thunder lately, at least the last, week or so, haven't been great at times covering these big numbers. They were 18.5-point road favorites at New Orleans. They won by 17. 17-point road favorites at Charlotte. They won by 13. 11.5-point road favorites last game at Portland. They only won by 8. That's what this feels like if you take Thunder, that maybe they win by 8. They win by 9. Maybe they don't cover this kind of number. So that's why I'm off the game.
Yeah, I can see.
But I do like Holmgren. The prop with Holmgren, I do like over points and rebounds.
I could absolutely see that prop. A lot of people in the chat liking OKC team total over.
That's what you do. If you like the Thunder, bet the team total. I always prefer the team total overs more with the double-digit favorite. Yep.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Definitely see that. All right. That looks like the NBA slate for today. So Chill Will asking, are we going to be on tomorrow? Yeah, we're back on tomorrow.
We're good to go rest of the week. Yep.
All right. Yep.
Wham will be too if his alarm goes off. Yeah, or he hears it, whatever.
Exactly. Can I find this banner? There we go. Best bets. So
I'll do the Dutch voice today, so you can end with me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go first then, I guess, today. My best bet for today. I'd like to give you guys what I can still. I mean, I'm gonna add some stuff today, but I'm going with Draymond under on the points plus assists. Like I said, he has shown he's only gone over that 5 out of the 17 games, I believe it was, last 17 without Steph. He's shown that he just doesn't want to play, whether he gets thrown out or, just doesn't have great games. And a lot of his assists are just because of the chemistry with Steph. I don't see him having that out there with a lot of the other guys tonight. And he's just not the greatest offensive player. He had 2 points last game. Under 14.5 will be my best bet for the show. But Bano, let him know how to get to the window and take us home.
Yeah, I mean, I was back and forth. Memphis, Boston. One of those two for best bet. I'm going to go with Memphis, plus 5.5 against San Antonio. I just think this one's a little bit of a tricky spot here for the Spurs, home off of, road trip. Memphis, playing competitive basketball lately. Spurs haven't been great, laying, moderate points of late. So I think it's a close game at the very least. We'll take the Memphis Grizzlies plus 5.5 against San Antonio for my best bet here for this Tuesday. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. We love you guys. We know you come here every day because the NBA is a hell of a drug. And you're looking at the plugs. Be sure to like, subscribe, share the motherfucking video. Y'all stay fresh, stay blessed, and let's stay putting these motherfucking bookies to rest. Yeah, man.
You guys ready?
It's the plan, Bobby.
We're winging it, Jerry.
You always winged it.
We're gonna get killed. What you mean, we, white boy?
You ready?
Here we go.